1. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, the Evangelical Church is not a monolith actor. Yes, you have pastors and church leaders on the top who influence and make decisions, but their interest, broadly speaking, is to be able to spread the faith, proselytize, and remain relevant amidst a volatile and adversarial scene in United States politics with Donald Trump Season 2 and the polarizing nature of party politics. Just take a look at the news, you're gonna see a lot of shit that is happening. That is to say, the Evangelical Church has many denominations and sects, and their followers, pastors, clergy, and entire congregation are not existing on a single kind of thing. It's not modular or a monolith. They exist on a spectrum. Opening government asserts that they hard lock right because they're conservative and automatically lean Republican, but that's not necessarily true. This is because pastors, followers, clergy, and entire congregations in itself also exist in a spectrum. Like, broadly speaking, yeah, no shit, the church is broadly right-leaning for obvious reasons, but that right side also exists in a spectrum. You have the hard right, the moderate right, and the moderates. That is to say, you also have followers who, ironically enough, are obviously also left-leaning progressive Democrats who experience huge swaths of dissonance within the church. Opening opposition implies and gives analysis for this, but lack an impact. This is an actor motion with also an embedded regrets motion, of which I think opening government and by extension closing government fail in proving their counterfactual. What is the path of victory to closing opposition? 3 broad pushes. Number 1, why is aligning with the party politics in the United States principally good and strategic for the Evangelical Church? How does this allow them to specifically position their branch of Catholicism against the Roman Catholic Church, who since with the advent of Pope Leo are gaining significant traction? Number 2, why is this a good strategy and something they shouldn't regret? A response to their missing counterfactual. And number 3, how this helps bring Christianity to the followers and why this in and of itself is a good, plugging in the missing impact of opening opposition. First layer of analysis. The Evangelical Church wants to remain relevant amidst a very adversarial and divisive political landscape. You have Democrats who are upset with Trump and all the bullshit he's doing with ICE and towards immigrants. You also have a lot of Republicans who are quite worried or sketched out by the things happening with Iran and wondering how this will affect their particular family. Meaning, this is a unique and golden opportunity for the church to remain relevant and communicate with very real people who are experiencing real problems which are proximate to their day-to-day life. That is to say, they need the Evangelical Church as a form of guidance and formation on 3 clear mechanisms. Number 1, pastors, who by the way also exist in a political spectrum, to be able to listen to these particular people, especially the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, who largely need some sort of person to listen and understand what they're saying, as opposed to condemning them, which is likely to happen with the Roman Catholic Church under Pope Leo and a lot of the things that were taken aback from what Pope Francis has done. Number 2, they need communities and congregations amidst all the visceral problems they're experiencing. Stress, anxiety, depression, wanting to even kill themselves given the very shaky political climate in the United States. And in order for them to be able to feel attached as a form of marketing strategy, it's quite good for them to be able to go out and pursue these people. Thirdly, they need moral and practical guidance through church formation and all of the sacraments and things the church has at their disposal. Meaning, they need to be able to filter out through all of the noise and be able to identify these very specific people. This only happens when the church, through their clergy and pastors, are specifically involved in what's happening. They have skin in the game because The lens of side proposition is a harm because it continues to make the evangelical church seem like an echo chamber and all this shit my pastor is saying as lip service, ladies and gentlemen. Meaning, when they speak about issues, even in instances where they compromise certain stances or create certain tension, this in and of itself creates discourse that allows them to be able to reach to these people through the very things they experience. In fact, they mechanistically also do this by specifically talking to mayors and governors and local governments to be able to lobby or answer the questions that they're raising, similar to what we do in debate. They literally unlock stances in order for the very people affected to exercise their agency in order to stay in that church or not, or to be able to discuss ideas so that those people and the church don't get hard locked right and they can shift within the Overton window in terms of where they gravitate and what they agree on. Secondly, I think the Evangelical Church also wants to be able to compete against the Roman Catholic Church, like what I mentioned in my pre-oration. That is to say, there is a golden nugget opportunity to position themselves as quite relevant in order to be able to take a stance, because quite frankly, the Catholic Church isn't probably going to do it. Let's talk about closing government, because closing government asserts their idea of undermining legitimacy and harming the reputation. I think the church is not an abstract concept of a certain idea. The church, like I mentioned in my speech, consists of real people, followers and pastors experiencing very visceral problems. It's likely to undermine them and harm their reputation when they stay silent. And in fact, that's the narrative and rhetoric that they're giving the Roman Catholic Church, because separation of church and state, brother, we don't want to be bipartisan, all of these things. That leaves their opposition vague and ultimately aligns with the interest of them to be able to spread and proselytize these ideas to help these very young people who are molded by these things. And as a consequence, that's good. We shouldn't regret it. We are very proud to stand on side negative. Thank you.